Hey guys, I come to you again. No, it's your boy Ron, aka Ron the Artist, here to you in the flesh to review Family Reunion Love and Hip Hop Edition, Season 2, Episode 7, Pride and Prejudice, and Lady Buggate titled episode. Oh, that episode title is one for the books. But okay, let's get into it. Let's dive into it. Wanted to go live a little sooner to discuss this, but I had to gather my thoughts around a lot that I wanted to say because honestly, that episode was triggering for me. It was triggering for me. It was tapping on a lot of different things. Okay, but let's get into it. For starters, Cisco. The episode started with Safari and Cisco having this conversation. If Cisco do not drop this petty ass argument conversation he wants to have about that old ass party that I'm sure Big Deb don't even care for anymore, that his presence not even being there. I'm sure don't nobody even care about him not being there but his ass. Maybe in that moment they did, but who cares about him not being at that party? Like, and Cisco is dragging this on with whatever, dragging this animosity with Safari, and then you see he's already being ambushed by his wife and everybody else regarding the allegations of his blog and rumors, and that was just the wrong moment to bring that up. And so, like, Cisco dead ass wrong for that. I just wanted to heavily say that Cisco was dead ass wrong for that, and still dragging it. Like, dude, like, you got mad balls for you to even be doing that. Like, the timing of that was way off. Like, and honestly, I wrote down in my notes here, he deserved whatever the hell Safari threw at him because, again, that timing was off and wrong. Like, foul. Like, bro, get it together. Like, Cisco, wait till things die down or simmer down or it's just a moment of peace, to then have a one-on-one conversation with you. And Safari will probably be in a better headspace to have this conversation with you to let you know that he was having a moment in his marriage that he needed to work on with his wife. That is why he didn't come to the party. Because his presence at the party, I'm sure, did not make or break the fucking party. Like, Cisco, cut it out. Next up, Safari, I'm about to eat your ass up too, because you full of shit. Like, and everybody else in the world, I'm sure, do not believe your ass. Kind of like what they were saying, like, once you already proved to do this and that in the media and in the limelight, they never going to believe you. But honestly, it appears that you're lying about what happened. The girl showed cards on the blog, showed a card saying Scaff Beezy, which in your Nikki days, we know that's what you used to go by. Scaff Beezy. Well, earlier in the Nikki days, whatever. I remember at one point I seen a video on World Star Hip Hop, you going by Scaff Beezy. So, like, that's too coincidental. You sent the flowers, she sent you a drink, you sent the flowers over. You didn't send the flowers over, regardless of the matter is, you had an inappropriate moment with a woman days before going to this show with your wife. I understand a point that Mimi made an episode or two ago, the fact that that this happened in a space where him and Erica probably weren't in the best, situation, in the best mental, in the best space with each other, where Safari had the green light to go do whatever. I somewhat understand that, but also in the same aspect, dude, that was days away prior to you seeing your wife. Like, the audacity. Safari, like, I once upon a time used to really fuck with Safari, and like Safari, but no, he's changed. This marriage has changed him, and not for the better at all. And that's a problem. You can see that. Like, it seems like he's appearing to be deceitful. He's appearing to be, not so trustworthy and a little manipulative. like, and very distant and just not the same genuine light and a ball full of energy that he used to be when he first got introduced to the Love and Hip Hop franchise. I hope he gets back to that someday, somehow. I really do, because this Safari that I'm seeing on this show right now with Erica Mena in this marriage is not it. Safari. I wish you well, bro. I wish you well. Lastly, I want to say about that, be honest. Be honest with your wife about whatever. Be honest. Again, I wish you well. Okay, now to the meat of the episode that took up most of the episode. I just want to say that the event Jonathan was throwing. Well, let's get a little bit before that. I want to say that I do feel like that beef between Jonathan and Zell was dragged on. I don't know, for a storyline or if it really was naturally bothering Jonathan. But it led to the event of him throwing an LGBTQ event to educate about, you know, the gay conversion and all of that. And yeah. Before we get to that conversation, because I'm going to leave that a little bit later, I want to jump back to Cisco. Also, I want to drag his ass a little bit more because I feel like Cisco is full of crap. Full of crap when it came to that situation with Sin in that track. Like, bro, that's another person. Own your shit. Like, I hate when people just lie and just don't want to be real about what happened. Like, own it. Like, if you took that girl track in the Masters, knowing the sentimental value of that track, because she didn't want to sleep with you, and I get you're on TV that maybe you don't want to look stupid, take some type of ownership, which he eventually did, but it took a lot for him to come to that. He didn't want to own that shit at all. Like, own that shit. Like, and if it was business, as you quote unquote tried to make it seem with Sin, if it was business, you should have let that be known off top. This is the fee for this. This is the fee for that. This is the fee for that. And this is how you get the track. That's it. That's all. You should have let that be known from gate, and whatever else was going to happen was going to happen. Because that was crazy. That was crazy. And that, I'm sure, is only one situation that we've heard of like that on TV. Because I'm sure that probably happens with women all the time in the industry. Women or men, for that matter, getting their music or a project taken away from them because they're not performing a sexual act with whoever is over the project. It's crazy. The entertainment industry is crazy. And I just felt like Cisco should have owned that, like I said, like earlier on, and nipped that in the bud a long time ago. I'm glad he righted his wrong. I'm glad he righted the wrong by giving her the track, however, even though she doesn't want the track, and I can't blame her for that because it had a sentimental value tied to it in the original intent it was made for. And now it has such a negative situation associated with it that she doesn't want that to be a part of the sentimental value that it originally had. So that's that. You know, I applaud him. Slightly applaud him. I will slightly applaud him for, you know, owning up to it and righting the wrong by giving her the track, but the damage is done. And the damage was much more harder and prevalent than the fixation. So that's that. You know, all right, now let's get into the Jonathan event. I applaud him for throwing the event and educating us on the gay conversion. I really do, but I do not like the context that it originally started from and how it ended. Well, I guess what it led up to, not how it ended, but what it ended up leading to prior to the ending. I do not like that because difficult. This one is kind of a little challenging to express and talk about because as a black gay male, I know that a lot of shit out there exists to keep gays, especially blacks, like down and out, like kill them, throw them in jail, like slaughter laws all across the world where being gay is a like it's a fucking crime, and all people do is trying to live their life at the end of the day happily, live their life freely and happily as them. And the fact that people are crucified for that, that will never sit right with me. That will never sit right with me. That will never sit right with me. And it took me a minute to like really grasp my thoughts on that. And y'all, a lot of you guys will never understand what the people of the LGBTQ plus community go through, especially blacks, black men of color. Shit is real out here, bro. Or sis. Shit is real out here. And it's not okay. So, to get back into how it started with Zell, you know, saying, you know, that Jonathan and Bobby Lights were too gay for him, or, you know, he wasn't raised like that, or how they act is too gay for him. And honestly, I didn't take offense of it when it was originally said, because I understand that. To be honest with you, I probably have said something like that at some point where I act and present myself a certain way, and I was kind of raised to be a certain way, and some didn't have that, you know, that figure or that momentum when they were growing up to, you know, be and act and present yourself as a boy or a man in this way. So I don't judge those who don't look the same or act the same as me or whoever else in the community of the LGBTQ. But I get how Jonathan was offended, because Jonathan looks like it appears and it sounds like he's been fighting that for a long time, fighting to be seen and heard of, you know, for who he is. And I can relate to that. You know, I got to a point where I stopped fighting for that. I was no longer fighting for that because I was going to be who I was regardless of who felt however. And I know that Jonathan is at that point. So is Bobby Lights at that point. And Zell Swag is at that point right now. But that's a process. And that takes a while to grasp. So I see how that hit Jonathan, because Jonathan just may be still fighting with that. That's how it started. Like I said, I applaud Jonathan for the event that he threw around it, because I did not know exactly about that gay conversion situation. Yes, I knew about the laws and how gays are treated around different countries and around the world, but I had no idea about the gay conversion. That's troubling to know that Jonathan was electrocuted and put in testosterone was put in him to make him more masculine or not gay, and to know that that is still legal in places around the world. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. And it's not talked about enough. And again, it touches home for me, y'all. It really does. You guys, it really touches home for me, and that shit is not okay, because that does more harm than good. Whoever is watching this, and if you have a child that you possibly suspect that might be gay or somewhere under the umbrella of the LGBTQ, let them come to you about that. Don't try to force that out of them or send them somewhere to somebody to do something to them or talk to them about that. Let them come to you about that and let them work through that, especially as a young child, because that does so much more harm to them than good. And look at that, tonight's episode, as Jonathan spoke about that. That really struck me, y'all. That really, really, really freaking struck me. And that's not okay. So again, I had no idea exactly of the gay conversion event, that of what takes place in that. I had no idea, and finding out about that, and that it's legal in places around the world, is fucking troubling, and I don't like it. I don't like it, and I don't care for it. Like I said, I hate the context that the event started in, but I loved how it erupted into an educational event. I really do. But I also hated what it spiraled into, where Amina Butterfly called out Peter about not letting his son be a butterfly for Halloween. I get that. I understand, how that could have hurt Amina, and I understand how potentially that could have hurt that 5-year-old boy. But if it was something that they made it seem like, Tara and Peter Guns made it seem like it was just something like he didn't even want to be a ladybug anymore. It was just something that was just suggested that he got out of the women's section and he's a boy, then it probably wasn't best that he go as ladybug. But Amina said, according to her story, that it was made a big deal and it was a big conversation. And as a 5-year-old boy, it's not that serious. It is not that serious. And y'all have no idea. Again, y'all have no idea that the stuff that was talked about in this episode, how triggering it was. And how troubling it was. Just how it came up. And that was a lot. It was just crazy how, like I said, originally how that event started and the context it started from to it turning into a beautiful situation. Then it turned out to an argument from Jonathan. And then it started out, I'm sorry. And basically it went from an argument from Jonathan through Zell about who's gayer than who and what's acceptable and not acceptable. To then a conversation leading to Amina Butterfly calling out Peter for not allowing or wanting his son to be a ladybug for Halloween, to then back to Zell arguing with Bobby Lights, this time about the lifestyle of being gay or a bisexual man and how one was raised. We, as LGBTQ members, do not need to be pinned against each other about who's gayer than who, about how one was raised, because that looks different in different aspects. Everyone was raised differently. Some had a father figure, as Bobby Light said. Some didn't. Like Zell had a father figure to teach him how to be a man and act and talk like a man, when Bobby Light didn't. And those both had influences on each other, whether they want to admit that or not, which Zell did admit. And just be who you are. At the end of the day, be happy and proud of who you are, and just be who you are. Be who you are proudly. Work through it however you need to, and just get to that peace, love, and happiness. And honestly, just do you. And don't look for acceptance from society, because it probably won't come ever thoroughly from society. We've gotten to a point in society where more people are educated about it, and it being accepting has gotten more open, but there are still people out there that hate the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ plus community, just because. So it's crazy how that's deep-rooted even in the LGBTQ plus community. Heavily in the African American community, if I haven't said that already, and in the men of color community. Like I said prior, the conversation was triggering for me personally. But kudos to Zell for fixing it and apologizing to Jonathan about that initial argument and conversation. And then kudos to him for making it right with Bobby, because he is clearly friends with Bobby. It just got into a heated moment where Bobby was defending, about being free and being whoever they want, and as a kid, and just doing free things and being able to explore that, when Zell wasn't raised that way. He was raised to be stern and be this and be a boy and act this way. So, yeah, that shit is triggering again. And I'm just happy that Zell made it right with them both, because it was a lot. And sidebar, at the beginning of that, you could tell Zell had some tension at that damn table. When they first got to that event, he knew where it was stemmed from. He knew where it was going. And you could tell that he was not for that and where it came from originally, and that somehow it was going to flip to him. And sure enough, it did. But just not from Jonathan's finger. You know, that shit was a lot. Tonight's episode was a lot. A lot of people have no idea, again, y'all have no idea the trauma that gay men and members of the LGBTQ community go through with society today. And I'm done ranting about that. I'm just proud of the fact that it was presented on today's episode, and that, you know, there was light shedded on it, and there was a conversation around it, and people understand that this is an issue in African-American community and the community of people of color. So, yeah. That's all I got for you guys today. That's all I got for you guys today. Episode 7. I'll see you guys next week. Episode 8. Frosty after the episode airs. I go live with it on my Instagram page here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've taken this from Instagram and uploaded it there. It is not live. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. If you're watching this on Instagram, add me. Please add me, follow me, comment. Let me know how I did in Instagram or in YouTube. Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.